Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two whiskeys and a new age statement. The first one here is George Dickel Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. This was introduced in 1964 along with the number 8 black label. This is the number 12. Neither one is age 8 or 12 years. They just call it the number 8 recipe, 12 recipe. Yeah, it could be deceptive trying to make you think it's aged 12 years, but we know it's aged at least 4 years since it has no age statement. It's Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. This and there it is. It finally it finally cleared up, focused. It's true. George Dickel was established in 1870, and they were the pioneers of chill filtering. And they had a product on the market for a long time, might still be made, but they don't list it. It's called George Dickel Cascade Whiskey. And that was what this in the number 8 replaced. I say replaced, but like I said, it might still produce it in a limited amount to keep the trademark for it. But I've never seen the Cascade whiskey. I have Cascade Hollow, but that's different. So this is a bourbon, but they don't call it that. You know how they do in Tennessee? They call it Tennessee whiskey. And they'll say, well, it's not a bourbon because it's charcoal mellowed. That really is irrelevant to what bourbon is. You can charcoal mellow bourbon or not charcoal mellow it. You can chill filter it or not chill filter it. It really doesn't matter. It can be 90 proof, 80 proof, as long as it's at least 80 proof. All right. So they're in Tennessee, they take bourbons and they call them Tennessee whiskey. Fine. No big deal. But they spell it without the E. An option in the United States, the U.S. government spells it without an E when they write about whiskey. So some people will say, oh, in America, it's a law. No, it's not a law. It's just a preference. E or without the E. Anyway, the law for Tennessee whiskey only applies to Tennessee. It's a state law. It doesn't apply to any other state. Okay. But whatever the case, this runs $25 a bottle, but I found mine for $12.50 at Walmart on a closeout. Don't know why they did that. They have new bottles there at Walmart with the new labels. The name is slightly changed, and it's back to $25. So when I saw this in the rye for $12.50, yeah, of course I bought it. Dickel was on my to try list, but I wasn't like frantic about getting it. It just appeared. Now, Daviess County was not on my to buy list. I had heard about it and had marginal interest in it. I was certainly open to trying it. But when I saw this and this runs about $38 to $40 a bottle. Sour mash, 96 proof, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Sour mash also. But when I saw this at a local store for $14.99, that was at Matherne's, immediately I bought it because I thought, yeah, I know that's cheaper than the normal price. 96 proof Kentucky straight bourbon. I didn't put that. Both are sour mash. I got to update the sour mash American whiskey. So they have a lot in common, you know. They're both sour mash, processed whiskeys. They're both higher than your minimum proof, which is 80. They both have no age statement. Now, I don't know why, real cork here. I'll turn the lamp on in a minute. People say it's dark. I know it's dark. It's Dawn Busters. But I'll put the lamp on. But real cork. Why is it not called Tennessee straight whiskey? It's aged at least 4 years. The minimum is 2. It's at least 51% corn, which is a requirement for Tennessee whiskey. All the whiskeys from Tennessee, as we know, because it's Tennessee whiskey, I really could not tell you the answer unless it's got flavoring or coloring added, but I don't know if Tennessee's law allows that, but I don't recall. Oh, I'm trying to put the cap cover on the wrong cap. I was like, why doesn't this fit? It slipped right on last time. So, yeah, wrong bottle. So I don't know if the regulations allow that. Liam Gillespie says, morning, Jay, having coffee with Jim Beam, mac and cheese, bacon, scrambled eggs, fried tomatoes, hash browns, and waffles for breakfast. Well, there's you. Probably won't be hungry until 6 o'clock tonight. If I ate all of that, I'd be full. Dickel is, I usually eat a small breakfast, honestly. This morning was a little too small. The 3 stuffed mushrooms with the hot sausage stuffed mushrooms. Good, for sure, but still feel hungry. I'm going to eat a snack in a little while. I have some wheat crackers with Limburger cheese and hot sauce, of course, you know. But those stuffed mushrooms are good. I put slices of extra sharp cheddar on them and some Tabasco sauce, and they were nice. But it's 3 of them, but it didn't seem to really do the trick for breakfast. Dickel is a great sour mash. Had it last month. Oh, excellent. Yeah, that Daviess poured out a little too much. I skip lunch and have dinner at 8. Okay, well, people have different eating patterns. Mine is usually fairly standard. Small breakfast, maybe a snack in the morning, small snack. A pretty good sized lunch, and then a very tiny supper, you know, just like a snack for supper. That's how I stay around 140. It's not underweight. It's, if you look at my body mass index, it's considered average. So you don't want to be underweight. That's not good. You don't want to be overweight. That's not good. You want to be the average weight. And then people use all these excuses, right? They'll say, oh, you're body shaming me. It's not about that. It's like, you realize there are very negative consequences for being overweight. It's not to body shame anybody, and you shouldn't do that, make fun or whatever. But we have a tendency to do that. But it's just, I say, you know, to myself, this person's asking for trouble later. But what can you do? DJ Beacon says, morning, hurricane tropical storm. Adalia passed overhead, Myrtle Beach, about 4 a.m., very mild regarding rain and wind at this time. Cheers. Yeah, it was moving fast, thankfully. And another good thing is it went through one of the least populated parts of Florida. So it's hitting a lot of trees and some houses, of course. But if you drive to that part of Florida on US Highway 19, United States Highway 19 is very rural. I mean, you could drive for miles, see no houses. Then you'll see some, you know, a few here or there. It's a state forest really out there. Supposedly has trails. I never did see any trailheads. The waffles, pancakes, Twinkies, Red Bull, coffee, whiskey, eggs, and bacon, mac and cheese. Oh no, that doesn't sound too good. Potato salad is a go-to breakfast food. Potato salad, huh? Never heard of that one for breakfast, but I'd go for it, I guess. Anyway. On with this. So they're both amber. Yeah, the appearance is about the same. One might be darker. The what you call it? The Daviess might be a little darker, but it's very close and not enough to make a difference. My prediction is that I will be able to tell them apart because George Dickel has an idiosyncratic flavor. That sounds better than saying it has a weird flavor, but it is weird and it is strange. And to me, it tastes like Flintstone vitamins. I like Flintstone vitamins. When I was a child, I would take them, but I'm trying to think, like what is it that causes it to taste like that? It couldn't be the grains, it wouldn't be the charred oak barrels. So I'm thinking it must be the ding ding, the yeast strain. Yeast strains give beers weird flavors like banana and stuff like that. So yeah, it's probably that. Okay, Tennessee whiskey regulations. I know they'll have a link to that. Tennessee Whiskey Trail. That's probably pretty accurate. Tennessee Code Title 57, Intoxicating Liquors. Here's the actual law. 2014, yeah, around that time they came out with the official law for Tennessee whiskey. There's no remember, there's no American law. I mean, under United States law regulation, you could have a Tennessee whiskey. It just means that the whiskey comes from Tennessee, or it could be any type, straight, blended, wouldn't matter. Same thing with you could have Louisiana whiskey. That just is indicative of where it comes from, and all the whiskey has to be from that state. But Tennessee whiskey is a specific law, Tennessee Code 57-2.106. Says an intoxicating liquor may not be advertised, described, labeled, named, sold, or referred to for marketing or sales purposes as Tennessee whiskey, quote unquote. E or without, they're spelling it both ways, E or without the E, Tennessee sour mash whiskey or Tennessee sour mash whiskey, E or out without the E. See what I'm saying? Doesn't matter. Unless the intoxicating liquor is as follows. Here we go. Is, one, manufactured in Tennessee. That would be U.S. law too. Okay, so the rest isn't. Made of a grain mixture that is at least 51% corn. Distilled to no more than 160 proof or 80% alcohol by volume. Aged in new charred oak barrels in Tennessee. Filtered through maple charcoal prior to aging. Placed in the barrel at no more than 125 proof or 62.5% alcohol by volume, and bottled at not less than 80 proof or 40% alcohol by volume. You say, well, that's the bourbon. That's the regulations for bourbon, aside from the filtering. Correct. That's right. That would make it a bourbon. And people keep harping on that. Oh, it's the filtering, the charcoal filtering. No. You could take any bourbon produced in America, filter it through maple charcoal, sugar maple charcoal or whatever. It would still be bourbon. It would just be a sugar maple charcoal filtered bourbon. And then they talk about penalties for violating it, the law, any Tennessee corporation, blah, that does this, so forth. All right. Now notice this law does not reference anything about flavoring or coloring added. It's quite interesting. Let's see what they say on the Tennessee Whiskey Trail website. I'm sure they'll just reference it. Man, look at all this text, so small. It's all about the manufacturing process. This is not illegal. They're just referencing it. Yeah, well, there you go. They did exempt one Tennessee whiskey from that process because there's one company that does not use the charcoal mellowing, and so the law exempted them. Yeah. Oh, well. Popcorn Sutton's. Yeah. Was an unaged corn whiskey. And well, so there is, I think, my answer. Tennessee whiskey gets a legal definition. It's an article, easy drinking. Yep, from 2013. And I think the law went into effect 2014. Governor, House Bill 1084. Just double check that. You want to cross-reference things, of course. The law exempts Picard, the Pritchard distillery, right? E or no E, right? Okay, so yeah, nothing about coloring or flavoring. So that is probably the reason that the Dickel is not called straight whiskey, because it might have coloring or flavoring added. But you notice the Tennessee whiskey regulation doesn't seem to be referencing yay or nay on straight, the word straight. So why did the glass 40s come back suddenly? Oh, that was some supposed environmental thing, but it was really that people preferred that. But that was only certain states, you understand. Louisiana is not one of those states. Louisiana still gets the 42-ounce plastic bottles, which I prefer because you get more. Not that I buy those really, because that's not really my portion size. Just check one thing real fast. Yeah, it just says aged in new charter barrels. It doesn't say aged at least 2 years. Oh. And that wouldn't really matter because you see, when you think about it, that would fall under U.S. guidelines anyhow. All right. So I think that's a workaround. You see, it's a workaround. It's bourbon is not allowed to have coloring or flavoring added. Fine. They're not claiming that it's bourbon. They're claiming it's Tennessee whiskey, and they're not claiming it's straight. So maybe that weird vitamin C flavor is not, in fact, coming from the yeast, but could be coming from a flavoring tweak. It doesn't seem to hurt the company because they're selling it like crazy. George Dickel is very popular, so I think that is probably leading us to the proper conclusion. Does that make whiskey like impure, or, oh, it's so terrible, they're adding flavoring, I can't get over it, it's not right? People, well, it's normal actually. In Canada, it is the norm. If you have a whiskey from Canada that's not flavored, that's the abnormal. Okay, and look how popular Canadian whiskey is. So Crown Royal, #1 selling whiskey in the United States, still, I think. So at the last 3 years. Cheers, taste. Oh, aroma. Yeah, a little corn, not a whole lot going on there. Yeah, about the same. So aroma, appearance tie, aroma tie. So right now the Dickel has the advantage because we're talking about $15 cheaper. It's $13 to $15 cheaper. We got the same appearance, almost identical aroma. And so obviously I'm not paying $13 more for nothing added, no advantage. But now the taste is where it's going to count. After all, it is a taste challenge. Okay. Seems to have that unusual health food store flavor. I can't describe it almost. It's almost indescribable. You really have to buy a bottle. I don't know what Jean-Pierre is going to say tomorrow night because he bought a bottle. Hopefully there'll be some left before Fandango Friday. And he was saying, look, we have 2 different ones. I said, no. They just changed the name and the label a little bit. They had modified it. It's the same product since 1964, Jean. These companies do that. They'll update. the label, the name, stuff like that. Sometimes they do change the recipe, like Samuel Adams. They tweaked it, didn't really change it. Samuel Adams Boston Lager. People were having a conniption fit over that. They ruined it. It's terrible. I tasted it and I was like, I was saying, if it is different, it's so minimal that I can't taste the difference. And I would have to do a blind taste test, and I don't have any more older bottles, and I wouldn't use an old bottle like that. So did they really improve? The real question is, did they really improve Samuel Adams Boston Lager? They didn't ruin it and they didn't hurt it, but I don't know if it was improved. And if it is improved, it was minimal. Now, there's conspiracy theories, maybe they're true, saying that, oh, they're using cheaper ingredients now and they're trying to get away with it. Maybe. And if they did that, they pulled it off because it really doesn't taste any different. So I don't know. I was more upset about the New Belgium. That was a totally different product. Well, it didn't get tweaked. It got overridden, overhauled. Overhauled, that's the word. Totally different product. I don't know why they didn't just keep the original Fat Tire and call it Fat Tire Classic and Fat Tire. You know what I'm saying? Like New Coke and Coca-Cola Classic. I mean, you could be creative. If you're a company, you could be creative at the same time as being successful. And you don't have to alienate, the old fans or whatever. I understand the product had been in decline for years because it's, older 30-something-year-old craft beer style, and people move on to try every new fancy thing. And then the old styles, they just linger on the shelf. Like the Anchor products, they had a big problem there. And people blame it on the label design change. That wasn't it. That's the whole reason they changed the label design, to try to attract new customers, to refresh it. I wasn't in love with the label design change, but I didn't hate it. And it was not really a good seller before or after that. You see, it wasn't like it was like busting the doors off the store selling. They weren't just, they had been probably bypassed 10 years ago. Everybody running after the new thing. And their porter was great. Their old foghorn barley wine style ale was great. All of that old traditional craft beer stuff was fabulous, but that does not sell it. Selling it, you can make it great. It doesn't mean it's going to sell if everybody's running after the newest thing. And people say, well, we're at fault, the craft beer people, because we ran after every new thing. That is true. Yes and no. Because no one is under the obligation to keep a company going. You see, like if you're into craft beer or if you're into whiskey, right? That's not your job to keep the company going because you want to try every new thing. Of course, you could try whatever you want. You're not under obligation to help these people. Now, if you're part of the ownership, well, that would be different. Did you ever consider doing food reviews as well? No, I haven't, honestly. I'm not interested in that. I'm just telling you the truth. I never watch food reviews. And I know a lot of people do them, and I know there's a lot of viewership, and I know that could make your channel big and all of that. But I'm not going to do that if you know what I'm saying? It would not be genuine. I don't watch them. I'm not interested in it particularly. And I'm not going to do it I don't chase views. I don't chase subs and I don't chase views. So I just won't do it. I eat food because I'm hungry, but I'm not really that into it, if you see what I'm saying. Jack in the Box, Burger King, McDonald's talk about. Yeah, I mean, I eat all those at all those places, cheap food, fast food, middle range, expensive sometimes. And I have thoughts about it. But not to that level. And I do like to try different restaurants. I did a project 10 years ago, 13 years ago, wanted to try every Chinese restaurant in the New Orleans area. And it was an interesting experience, and some were great, and most were just, normal, and a few were under below average, not good. But there wasn't many. Did the same thing with Mexican, same results. Did the same thing with seafood restaurants, same results. Didn't run across too many bad ones, but there are some that aren't necessarily bad, but you really wouldn't want to go back. No, I wouldn't. Cool, nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So I used to write food reviews, like on Yelp, TripAdvisor, Google, and then I was like, I don't read these really. I might glance at them. So I got tired of it. But beer reviews I do watch. I got some on my watch later list right now, and I'm going to watch them. And I'll comment, and I don't know why I'm interested necessarily. I just am in beer in particular, also wine to a small extent, and liquor, yeah, of course, but not as much as beer, but still I am interested in it. And some people got like angry about it, like the fact that I would do liquor reviews on my channel, and they were like, "You're doing wrong. It's Louisiana Beer Reviews." I said it was never, the channel was just my name. It was Louisiana Beer Reviews was just a feature on the channel. I did travel videos, driving down the highway, taking videos. So I'm not going to be held hostage by that. The Daviess has more elaborate flavor. I'm going to tell you this right now. It probably is worth the $13 extra. It might be 15 extra, depending on your store. So, yeah, it does win. It does win. This stuff has the strangest flavor, but it's not. I don't want you to interpret that as bad. It's not a bad flavor. It's not even an off-putting flavor. It is just a strange and unusual flavor. And I think they're probably adding flavoring. That's why it's not straight whiskey. If you wrote an email to them, they might or might not tell you if they do. Now, if you asked them straight, do you add flavor into it, and they were evasive, then you'd have your answer, right? They wouldn't have to say no. They might just give you an answer like, the George Dickel distillery is creative, and we have high quality standards, and we like to innovate and all that stuff. All that stuff's probably true, but they didn't really answer the question. So if they refuse to answer the question, then you got your answer. You understand? Like if you ask somebody, did you ever smoke marijuana? And they say, well, look, I'm not here to answer your question. How dare you ask me a question like that? And they go all on and on. And then it won't give you a no. Well, then you know the answer. Because you said, well, you asked me. I told you no. You asked me that question. Do you ever smoke marijuana? No, I never have. Just my students asked me that when I was teaching high school. You ever smoke marijuana? I said no. Oh, you making that up? And I told them, I said, let's think about this. If I told you, yeah, that would be untrue, first of all. And secondly, you would be shocked. Oh, my teacher is a pothead or whatever. I said, but I'm just telling you, I have never done it. But then if I tell you no, then you say I'm lying. You see, so I can't win. It's like a no-win question. I said, but I'm just telling you the truth. Now, whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. But I'm just telling, asking me, like they asked me, did you like Martin Luther King? I said, well, I died. He died before I was even born. Okay, so it was a matter of liking or disliking. I was born after he died. So the question is moot. But I think what they meant was his memory and legacy and all that. I say, so if I tell you yes, you're going to think I'm placating you, just telling you what you want to hear, right? They were saying, right. And I said, if I tell you no, then you're going to get upset because I told you I didn't like him. I said, so either answer that I give is not going to satisfy you. And then they would understand, right? I said, so you got to think about those kind of questions. But when you ask a point blank question and the person is evasive, then, you got your answer. I had a pothead teacher in high school. It's very common. Yes, I'm afraid you might be right. Okay. I know food reviews are very popular on YouTube and get lots of subs. They do. I know they're big, probably be much bigger than this beer, wine, and liquor channel. And that's fine. And I'm not jealous of other people. I'm not. I'm telling you right now. If I see a channel that's got 1 million subs and they make and making it big, even if it's beer, I don't get jealous of that. I don't. I just don't, because I didn't start the channel to do that. Howdy, Ron says, Sam Smalley. Howdy to you. Now, I get not concerned is the word. I get a little confused, like I get suspicious in a way when I see a channel. Let's say like I got 16,000 subs, which I never asked for anybody to subscribe. Go find a video where I ever did, and I didn't. If you want to subscribe, I'm sure you have enough intelligence to do that. I don't hawk the channel. I'm not like a huckster. You know what I'm saying? You watch it or you don't watch it. Like it or you don't. It's up to you. But I do see some of these channels that are heavy-handed on that. And they'll be telling you all the time, I got 30,000 subs or I got 50,000 subs, and they harp on it. Okay, fine, good. I'm not jealous, like I told you. But it's strange that their view level is low. That's all I thought was strange. I'm thinking to myself, like, well, here I am with 16,000 subs, marginally successful, B minus, something like that. Here you are, you touting this, you got 30,000, 50,000, but your view count is no larger than mine. Or in some cases, I'm not going to name the name, lower than mine. Now, I can't understand if you have triple the subscribers, but you have less viewership. That doesn't add up. Something's not right with that. And then that's telling me you're using a service. These are these services people hire as paid. They pay a fee every month, and they pull in subs, and then they can go to these big beer companies and say, well, look, my name is so-and-so. I got 50,000 subs. I'd like to review your beer. Meaning what? They're going to send them the stuff. What they ought to tell them is, I got all these subs, but I don't have views. They wouldn't get the stuff. That's just strange to me. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not jealous. They have a 10 million subs. It wouldn't bother me. It's just strange. Okay. Some channels are legit. They don't hawk their channel. They just do the videos, give the score, and that's it. And I'll notice, like, they might have, let's say, half the subs I have, but then they got half the views. It like adds up. Like those channels, you can tell they add up. Like it's like the numbers are consistent. Then they're not hustling. But whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna say the winner is Daviess County. It is more expensive, $13 more, but it does have more flavor. It does have more character. It does have more interest level. And the Dickel is fine too. So I'm gonna say this is the Dickel. And it is, because you can't mistake it. It's just that unusual flavor. So do I like both? I certainly do. Would I recommend both? Without a doubt. But I'm saying Daviess is the winner. Now, I have another Dickel coming up for Friday, because today is Thursday at the time of the recording, right? I have the George Dickel Cascade Hollow, and they used to say, I think they updated their website. Those frequently asked questions are gone, but it used to say it is not currently in production, because they had a question. What about George Dickel Cascade Hollow, the red label? Somebody said, I'm trying to find it. They said, well, it's not currently produced, but it still might be on the shelf somewhere. I mean, I found it, but that was during the production run. I think I bought it like 5 years ago. They made it for a few years, only aged 3 years. Apparently, they made that as a stopgap. Like the sales were higher than their inventory, so they were running short on aged stuff. So they were like, oh heck, well, we'll just put out a 3-year age Dickel. Tastes good to me, I got a deal. Boy, what a deal I got. When you see that video, you can't believe it. But kind of wish they'd bring it back. They probably will bring it back from time to time to keep the trademark going on it. Like I said, Cascade Hollow, because the trademark law is kind of specific. If you let the trademark, I don't know the year, I think it's 7 years, but I could be wrong. But if you don't use the trademark for so many years, the U.S. government says that you abandoned it. Like you didn't care about it. You didn't use it. You can't claim you cared about protecting the trademark. So then it's open to anybody that wants to use it. And the famous story is Captain Marvel comic book character. That was a famous story of don't complain about your trademark when you didn't use it for 15 years or whatever. You can't really complain because you didn't use it. And some people don't ever bother to trademark their stuff. They just put it out there. Maybe they figure nobody's going to copy it. In some cases, they don't because there's no attraction to it. Okay, but Cascade Hollow from George Dickel, you would think that could be a danger area. And like I said, do they still make the Cascade whiskey, the original brand, up to 1964? It might still be made. And they put a few batches out, and then they could tell the government, look, we made some. Some people claim they still make Falstaff beer every few years and sell it in some obscure, isolated part of the United States just to keep the trademark. Because can you imagine the fiasco if Pabst lost that? You know as well as I do, if Pabst lost the trademark to Falstaff beer, that would be on the market in a snap. Somebody would sell it. Now, I don't know if it would be any good. The original Falstaff that I tried in 96 was mighty fine. It was actually better than most of the regular beers. Probably was more expensive to brew, and so therefore they don't make it because it's kind of hard to make a beer when no one buys it. And the last Falstaff brewery closed down in 91. 90. I think it was 90. No, yeah, I think it was like January 90 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And they kept making the brand at other breweries, but didn't go anywhere. But anyway, thanks everybody. That's it. Video went kind of long, but it was an interesting discussion, I thought. And it wasn't just a bunch of frivolous kidding around and joking and silly stuff. It's more about the characters, friendship, communities, and sharing products. Yeah, who cares about the sub number? I don't, but some people are obsessed with it. You know, like, I mean, I like to see it. Well, yeah, if it grows, of course you're happy. Like, oh, look, it went up. So, of course, you're happy. But to worry about it, no way. I love meeting fellow beer lovers from all across the globe. And I'm the same way. And I'm not worried about their political ideas. You say, well, that guy's left wing. And I know, okay. Or he's right wing. Look, I didn't watch their channel because of that. I watched the channel to see what they thought about the beer. So if they have wacky political ideas, fine. You know, if the video is about the beer and they know what they're talking about and they give a good review, I'll watch it. Okay. Now some people are fanatical about that. If they got some certain political ideas and they love the review, I love your reviews. Then they find out they don't agree on politics. Oh, I'll never watch your channel again. So it's like, I'll show you. Well, what are you showing them? Think about that for a minute. What have you shown them? And you can't go around later on because you found out they got political ideas you don't like, talking about their reviews are terrible. Well, you said 3 years ago they were fabulous. You just love, quote, their reviews. Well, don't say you love their reviews one day and they do a great job. Then you're turning around 2 years later talking about how trashy they are. And it's not even because of the reviews. It's for some ridiculous political thing. I just cannot go along with it. I cannot do it. I will not go along with that. I don't. I mean, there's extreme cases where people are just over the moon on stuff. If they're up there, like, where their whole theme is about worshiping the devil, yeah, well, you could avoid that, obviously. But then you can catch on to their game after a while. It's not even about the beer reviews. The beer reviews are just an entree into what they're really trying to promote. And you can sort of smoke that out pretty fast. And you can see it's like, this is not about beer reviews. This is about some other hidden agenda. And you can usually detect that because they can't hide it, Why would they hide it? Because that's the reason for the channel. The beer reviews is just a deception. But with this channel, it's about the product. All right. But then people have other ideas about things, and it's not all about you're not a machine, just all about the beer. No, you can talk about other things. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and see y'all for Friday's review. Sam Smiley says, I like to keep politics out of things. I like beer and sports. You see, now, Sam, the politics don't bother me. I don't really emphasize it so much, but I don't mind it. You know what I'm saying? I don't run from it. So if I'm doing a hangout with other people or they start some political stuff, I might just sit there and smile and listen to them, but I'm not going to back down. It's not going to upset me. They might say, well, you're not saying anything. I'm just listening. Now, if they press me on it, I'll tell them. If they get upset, that's on them because they press me on it. I'll tell them, you're upset, but you pressed me on it. You see, I didn't bring it up. So if you press somebody on something, why would you get upset? You broached the topic. Can't stand that kind of stuff when people broach a topic and then they're upset about it. Well, it's like you brought it up. And I told you you could see I was reticent to discuss it, or I was trying to at least be guarded about it. All right. Well, anyway, y'all take care, and I'll see y'all soon.